Hi, I'm Walt Grayson. Mississippi is blessed with wonderful resources, especially abundant water. Our future quality of life and economy are tied to how well we protect and restore our natural resources. You'd like to kayak our quiet rivers and bayous, fish in one of our many lakes and ponds, or maybe just enjoy a sunset as the oranges and reds are reflected by the water. In one way or another, we all value quality water. Our lakes, rivers, streams, and wetlands and coastal waters, including the surrounding land, require our care to ensure the next generation receives this blessing too. Join me as we visit some friends in North Mississippi who have come together around their river.
I'm Suzanne Langley. I'm a resident of Hudsonville, Mississippi, and that's just north of Holly Springs. The neighbors in this whole community all felt very protective about what they discovered when we all moved out here. We are at the headwaters of the Coldwater River. What we were very pleased to do is to work with our local environmental organization, which is Strawberry Plains Audubon Center here, as they identified and helped us understand what natural treasure that we had here. And we had community meetings and decided that we really wanted to participate in protecting this fabulous asset.
The good work of my colleagues at Strawberry Plains Audubon Center, they're focusing on the upper Coldwater River and really the immediate lands around the headwaters. To work with landowners in riparian land management practices and reestablishing forests along the streams, in managing the flow of water so we don't have excess sedimentation, and really getting together a good group of people who understand their own responsibility to protecting the watershed around them for the health of a lot of birds and wildlife, but also for the communities around these waters.
The thing that makes the Hudsonville landowner stewardship a really exciting project is we know that in Hernando, on the other end of Coldwater River, that there's an urban area that is, devoted to protecting the water quality there. So it's just not an isolated project here, because it is in our backyard and we want to protect our backyard. We know that what we're doing to protect the headwaters actually contributes to the quality of water for all the communities downstream.
What Suzanne's been talking about is the Coldwater River watershed or drainage basin. A watershed is all the land area that drains to a particular river or stream. The boundary of the Coldwater River watershed is determined by the highest points in the landscape around the river. The hilltops and ridges define the watershed and work in the same way that the top edge of a bathtub defines the area from which the water flows down the drain. All the rain that lands within those hilltops and ridges that doesn't soak into the ground will become runoff and flow downhill from the headwaters to the Coldwater River, onto Arcabutler Lake, and eventually to the Gulf of Mexico. Percent forest cover is a leading indicator of watershed health. As land use changes from forest to cropland or urban areas, the amount of stormwater runoff increases. This increase must be managed to minimize its impacts.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Hurd, and I have the honor of representing DeSoto County, Olive Branch, Horn Lake, and South Haven as their stormwater project manager. And we're here at a subdivision that has been under development for a little over 2 years, and it's been one of the major subdivisions to have stormwater complaints lodged against it, not just for stormwater quality issues, but also for the quantity of stormwater that's now leaving this site. There are thousands of these storm drains in DeSoto County and in the Coldwater River watershed. And as you can see, we've got a lot of silt here in the street gathering in front of the storm drain that is washed down from many of the lots around here. And with this silt has come grass and roots and a lot of trash. Now, the next time we get a big rainfall, all of this dirt and debris is going to wash into this drain. And from this drain, it will travel through a system of pipes, and what actually makes it to the detention pond will settle there. The problem we have is that a lot of the silt, especially, a lot of this dirt will settle out in the storm drain and cause that drain to lose some of its capacity. If it's half filled with dirt, then it's not going to hold as much water as we need it to, and we'll get some flooding here in the street. One of the biggest problems we have with developed areas in Mississippi is that it increases the amount of impervious cover. Streets and rooftops and other areas where water cannot be absorbed. What we know is that when you increase the amount of impervious cover that you have, you're speeding up the water because there are no plants or grass or soil to absorb any of that rainwater. So you have more water moving across the area because there's nothing to absorb it, but that water also moves a whole lot faster because it doesn't have anything to slow it down. We're down in one of the unnamed tributaries of Hurricane Creek, and Hurricane Creek is the second largest drainage basin that we have here in DeSoto County. And as you can see, we have a good example of what happens when you have too much stormwater and you have stormwater moving far too fast. The water can pick up some pretty heavy debris that we probably don't want here in our creeks. Tires, beer kegs, and all of these things eventually will make their way down to Arkabutla. And many people probably don't know that Arkabutla Lake was originally designed to someday provide all of us with drinking water. And I don't know about you, but I don't exactly want some of this stuff in not only my drinking water, but my children's drinking water. One of the most important things that I do as a stormwater program manager is go out into the community and let people know what they can do in order to improve water quality in their area. One of the things that we can all do is plant native species in our yard. Not only is it less work, but it also requires less fertilization, less water, and less pesticides. These are all things that when it rains, when you use too much, all of these things wash down into the street and eventually get into the storm drain. And as we already know, everything that goes into the storm drain ends up in that beautiful river that runs behind your house.
There are hundreds of species of native plants in the southeastern United States. Many of them occur in our meadows, in wetlands, and in different types of forest. These plants are adapted to the soils and the rainfall and the general climate of the southeast.
Native plants add life to your yard, as the saying goes, and they do. It's just incredible.
What we do is whenever we farm on our places or if we develop our yards is we try to do it in a mindful way just to really be good stewards of the land. We manage our home site being mindful that we share a habitat with species that have called this home much longer than we have.
We all want a beautiful plush green lawn, and one of the major expenses to attaining that goal is the water bill. Rain barrels are a great way to stockpile rainwater. This does two things. First of all, it keeps the water from washing across your yard and into the storm drains, picking up pollutants and compounding the problem that we know is there. The other thing it does is that it allows you to stockpile water in order to water your lawn and your garden.
These are 50-gallon rain barrels. We have 3 on the house. It has a screen on the top that precludes insects from getting inside, particularly mosquitoes laying eggs inside there. I use this water to water a lot of the plants in the beds as well as house plants. It's rainwater, which is so much better than anything that comes out of a faucet for your plants.
There are many best management practices that we can use to protect water quality. One of them is a riparian buffer. A riparian buffer is typically a protected area of vegetation that runs along the side of a stream or a river. A way that trees and native cover protect from soil erosion and protect water quality in riparian habitats is the leaves and the limbs and the roots and the leaf litter on the surface of the soil slow the rainfall impact on the soil. So surface water runoff is slowed, percolation is increased, and so if we can get slower water running into our stream or our river or our wetland, we get a recharge of the water, but we don't get the sediment and the pollution that often that rainfall and that surface water runoff carries.
This is a riparian strip that was planted on either side of the Coldwater River, which runs through our property. This is a filtering strip, so water that comes overland across the fields towards the river now has to go through a very dense amount of vegetation to reach the river, and it filters out nutrients and any toxic materials that may move across this landscape towards the river.
One thing I'd like to point out is that before this was a subdivision, this was a beautiful forest, much like the area that surrounds me now, and of course, if you look across, there's not a tree left. One of the hot new buzzwords in water quality today is low impact development. Two of the most cost-effective ways to enact low-impact developments is to require riparian buffer zones along creeks and waterways. Another thing that many communities are doing now is enacting tree ordinances. What this does is it requires developers to leave trees that are larger than a certain radius or that are not directly in the way of roads or homes. So trees like this beautiful tree could be left in your backyard.
Stormwater management, native plants, rain barrels, riparian buffers. What other ways do we have to protect and restore water quality? Well, it's not all work, as the folks will tell you who participated in Secchi Day, the first such event in the state that occurred in northeast Mississippi on Pickwick Lake. This flat black and white Secchi disc is an easy-to-use water quality measuring tool. At Secchi Day, 30 teams gathered for a short training session before launching their boats and heading out onto the lake. At their assigned site, each team lowered their disc into the lake and marked the rope at the water's surface when they could no longer see the disc. Each year, teams will repeat this procedure, checking the depth, which indicates the turbidity or cloudiness of the water caused by suspended soil particles or algae. These folks are examining the quality of the water they use for fishing and recreation, and having some fun along the way. So we can all promote water quality when we let only rain go down the drain. Do not use storm drains as trash cans for leftover paint or other chemicals. And keep lawn clippings and leaves out of storm drains. Plant native or hardy species that require little or no additional water, fertilizers, or pesticides. Install rain barrels to catch roof runoff and plant rain gardens to capture and use some of the runoff from your yard. Maintain riparian buffers along streams and rivers. Participate in special water quality events. Compost yard waste. Lawn clippings, leaves, and other yard litter can easily be recycled on site to produce fertile soil for flower beds and gardens. Communities can also help protect our watersheds by managing their stormwater runoff by adopting and enforcing stormwater regulations for construction sites. Tree ordinances that ensure valuable urban forest is protected, and watershed-friendly zoning ordinances. Put another way, cities can promote development in an environmentally friendly way that protects water quality. By and large, these stormwater strategies will also be money-saving for both developers and communities. In addition, communities can support stewardship groups like our Coldwater neighbors devoted to watershed protection and restoration. Our combined efforts in doing simple things in our yards and communities will protect and restore our watersheds, not only for us and our children, but also for the plants and animals that live here. Let's all work together to protect our water and the health of our watersheds. We can reduce the impact of stormwater and rain over runoff.